Have you ever heard that song, Late in the Midnight Hour, God's Gonna Turn It Around? We're going to see that today when we look at Acts chapters 15 and 16. But first, welcome to Experiencing God, 365 days through the Bible, day 327. So today we pick up where we left off yesterday. Paul and Barnabas, they're in Antioch of Syria. Okay, while they're there, there's this disagreement amongst the believers about circumcision. And so Paul and Barnabas are sent to Jerusalem to get an answer from the council. Here was the argument. The argument is these Gentiles that are coming to the Lord, they must be circumcised to be saved, all right? So the council meets, they discuss it. There's a lot of discussion. Peter reminds them that God gave the Holy Spirit to the Gentiles without distinction. James agrees, citing prophecy from Amos 9, verses 11 through 12, and he proposed that the Gentiles should not be burdened with the full law of Moses. We couldn't uphold the law. Why are we going to make them uphold it, right? So there's a letter written to the Gentiles. The apostles and the elders decide that the Gentiles need to avoid food sacrificed to idols, avoid the blood, avoid the meat of strangled animals, and avoid sexual immorality. All right. So here was what the argument was in chapter 15, verse 19. I love this. And so my judgment is that we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God. Why are we going to make it hard for them? They're turning to God. He's poured out their spirit for them. They're being baptized in the spirit. Let's not make it hard for them, right? So the decision is delivered via letter to Antioch, and the church is excited, okay? They rejoice and they're encouraged. Now, after this, there was a disagreement. There was a disagreement between Paul and Barnabas about taking John Mark with them on the next missionary tour. Paul didn't want to take him. All right. They parted ways. Barnabas took John Mark. Barnabas took John Mark to Cyprus. Okay. And Paul chose Silas to be his traveling companion through Syria and Caesarea. All right. Now listen, in chapter 16, Paul starts his second missionary journey. All right. Now in Lystra, Paul recruited Timothy. We're going to see more about Timothy, but he recruited Timothy, a young disciple with a Jewish mother and a Greek father, okay? And to avoid offending the Jews, Paul circumcises him, all right? They deliver the council's decision. It strengthens the churches. Paul has a vision. I love this. Paul has a vision of a man from Macedonia asking for help. Listen to this in chapter 16, verse 9. That night, Paul had a vision. A man from Macedonia in northern Greece was standing there, pleading with him, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." So we decided to leave for Macedonia at once, having concluded that God was calling us to preach the good news there. So they go. They set sail, okay? On the way there, in Philippi, they meet Lydia. She's a wealthy merchant of purple cloth, right? She believed the message and she received and was baptized, her whole household, okay? And they offered hospitality to these men. Now, Paul frees the slave girl, okay? Paul cast out a spirit of divination out of a slave girl. Her owners were angry that they were going to lose some profit, right? And so Paul and Silas are beaten and they're thrown into jail. Now, we're in the midnight hour here, okay? Late in the midnight hour. Paul and Barnabas, not Barnabas, they split ways. Paul and Silas, okay, they're in prison. And while they were in prison, they were praying. And while they were praying, they also began worshiping. And this is what happened. Around midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening. Suddenly, there was a massive earthquake. Their prayers and worship produced an earthquake. Suddenly, there was a massive earthquake, and the prison was shaken to its foundations. All the doors immediately flew open, and the chains of every prisoner fell off. The jailer woke up to see the prison doors wide open. He assumed the prisoners had escaped, so he drew a sword to kill himself. But Paul shouted, "Stop! Don't kill yourself. We're all here. We're still here. We're still here." All right. So the magistrates in the morning ordered Paul and Silas to be released quietly. And Paul's like, no. You've beaten us. You've imprisoned us. We're not going quietly. You can come apologize. And so they came and let him out and apologized. What stood out to you today? They prayed and praised, and the Lord freed them from their chains. Prayer and praise break chains. Caused an earthquake, broke the chains. Pray and praise. It'll break the chains off of your life. Like, comment, share, subscribe. God sees you. He loves you. He has a great plan for your life. I pray the Holy Spirit ministered to you today through this. Tomorrow we're going to continue on with Galatians chapters 1 through 3. See you there.